Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to have this meeting open. I'm going to introduce our presenter tonight. How can I say this? A very distinguished person and a distinguished Toastmaster. Wendy Leroux has been a Toastmaster for, believe it or not, 14 years by now. And she has held many positions in her home club, Langley 2743. She was an area director in 2016 and a division director in 2019. She's a distinguished Toastmaster and a lead coach for TEDx Surrey. She credits Toastmasters for all the positive changes in her personal and professional life. Today, she is our presenter for the new member orientation. Wendy, thank you so very much. Please, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Carlos. So Jackie, it looks like it's you and I, and if someone else joins, awesome. But if not, we are just going to have fun together, and maybe I can shed some light on some things that will be helpful to you. I'm really hopeful that is the case. So first slide, please, Carlos.
Of course.
So this is so you've joined Toastmasters, now what? And this is the orientation for October 28th, 2024. And next slide, please. Just so you know, Jackie, the reason Carlos is doing this is because I'm very good with people. I'm terrible with technology. So he's helping me out tonight. He's such a good guy. And our agenda for this evening is this: your goals, navigating through Basecamp, Toastmasters Pathways Learning Experience, mentoring, club meeting roles, leadership opportunities, awards and recognitions, and questions. And next slide. So I don't know if you've ever seen the new member profile, Jackie. It's actually quite helpful. I don't have one with me right now, but each time a new member starts, they will fill the new member profile out in our club. And it just helps the VP of Education know why they're there, which gives us a great opportunity to almost tailor what they're going to be hearing for what they need in their life. And oftentimes we'll see on there, it's not actually just public speaking, but it's for meetings at work and for their personal life, or some private things that might be going on. They feel they need to have more of a voice in their own life. And you can get that from that new member profile. When a person starts with our club, the VP of membership will take their payment and get them all set up. And then they will take the new member profile sheet, which is online. It's item number 1162F, like Frank. And they will then take that along with the membership fee, and they'll pass that along to the VP of Education. And then they pass it along to me because I'm the mentor coordinator for our club. I'm the one that finds the new people a mentor. All right. Next slide. Oh, and if you have any questions, Jackie, because it's just you and me, please feel free. You can just put your hand up and I'll say, oh, yes, Jackie. Okay. Okay. All right. This is really an interesting part for when you got this new member and you want to have them have a great experience in your club, and you have that new member profile. You can find out what it is they're looking for in that club, and you can supply it for them. A lot of clubs don't necessarily have enough mentors to go around. In that case, if you have clubs that are close by or someone that you know in a different club, hopefully you can find someone to mentor them. Because for the VP of Education to be a mentor to all the new ones that come in, it's a little bit difficult. In fact, almost impossible. And it burns you out instead of creating a good situation for other people to be mentors for people. And all the new people that start in our club, we tell them that, yes, they're going to be on their own time frame, but we are going to nudge them. We are going to encourage them to take on speaking roles, because if they come, they might just end up sitting back. And while that feels good to them because they're nervous and they don't necessarily know how to begin, we need to start nudging them so they can think about why they joined. Think big, like don't just say you came for social aspect, or let's have some really great goals and let's help them achieve them. And it's really good if you have them write them down. And if you have a VP of education that's got a little more time for that, then that would be what you would, the information they would get. Navigating Basecamp. Now, can you go to the next slide, please, Carlos? So verifying your profile, we'll just go through them as the slides come up. This is something that I would imagine as VP of education, you may be responsible for, but it may be the VP of membership that is handling this. And in my club's case, it's me as the mentor coordinator. I make sure that once they've received that initial welcome email, I help the new person navigate Basecamp, get on for the first time, get on to Easy Speak if you're in there, just so they feel comfortable. And then when they have a mentor, that person has an easier time of sort of establishing a really good connection with them and getting them started right away doing their first speeches, which is not an icebreaker. The first speeches are the awe counter and the grammarian roles. They're all speaking opportunities. So we like to make sure that that is something that every single new member knows. And next slide, please, Carlos. And this still is, this actually looks slightly different than the new pathways logging in, but it's essentially the same. It does give them the Basecamp information, Learning Hub, and the achievement board. Next slide, please. And this part definitely does look different on the new pathways, but I think that what we'll do right now, Jackie, because you know all of this, and I know you may not be as comfortable with it as some people aren't. Are you comfortable with the getting onto pathways and doing all of that? Okay. So let's not spend time on this, and Carlos will go to the next slide, which I think is another one of these. So all levels in the pathway are 5, and you can go to the next slide. And this is great. I think it's quite helpful for people to see this information when they first come. And this is definitely a slide that I've shown to show them sort of where they're going to be going in their 5 levels in the first pathway. And next slide, please, Carlos. And the first project, the icebreaker. The access to this may change, but we know that the icebreaker will remain the same. It's really great material. All the information they need is right there. I encourage people when they first start to sign up for their icebreaker as a mentor or coordinator. And when I'm showing them around Easy Speak and the Toastmasters International, I go in and we sign up for their first speech. Because if they don't have a deadline, they can tend to be a little nervous and it can get put off. And so instead of the club being enriched with a new speaker right away, they will have to wait. And that the longer a person waits to do their icebreaker, I think there can be a barrier and a bit of a breakdown for them if they're not actively going at it right away. And next slide. So I believe this aspect has changed, but there's something that I just wanted to mention for Jackie's benefit and for my own to reiterate it, is the assessing your skills before. I believe that will still be there, but if it's not, that's a shame. But we all know how important that is to understand what your level is when you first start a project. And I imagine that what's going to happen in the new pathways is that we're going to have accountability in there as well, that we're going to have, of course, the evaluations, and they're going to be the same thing. Every brand new member will be responsible for bringing their evaluations to the meeting when they're doing their speech. It's not up to their evaluator to bring it. It is up to the speaker. It's really important for them to know that. And it's important for them to follow the project navigation from the very beginning to the very end. I know when I first started Pathways, or when this new Pathways came out, I can't tell you how many times I went in and assessed my skills before and after, and I hadn't even done the project yet. So I was, getting gibbled up, and it was only because I was learning things but doing them and not following it, like not one at a time, and thinking I knew everything because I've been around for so many years. And it was embarrassing to go to my VP of Education and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I've kind of gone ahead and I didn't do this." So if whoever is a brand new member just keeps in mind that they follow the path, follow the instructions on every single project that they have, they'll be far better off. And when they're done, they'll have a better base of knowledge than if they skip through thinking they know everything that's already on there. Probably only old Toastmasters would do that, but something to think about. So just a reiteration that every single speaker is responsible for their own evaluations, and that they have to keep their evaluations as records in case there needs to be proof along the way that they have completed that speech and that it has been evaluated. And next slide, Carlos. Here is the pathway level completion as it was before. We're going to just skip on through that because we don't think it looks the same. What I saw, it doesn't look the same. And I believe this is going to be different. Of course, you will be able to view a certificate. From what I understand, it looks like we're going to be able to upload our evaluations directly to a place that the VP of Education no longer has to be responsible for it. But don't quote me on that, Jackie. My first looking in at it looked like there was going to be some differences and perhaps an easier go of it for the VP of Educations. And next one, please, Carlos. So these are the different pathways. Those are the ones that have been discontinued. And in my experience, and I'm sure Jackie has had the same experience, is it really is a good idea if you can to steer them towards presentation mastery, because there are more speeches in there. Unless there's someone who comes in that has a higher level of speaking and does want to go into visionary communication or one of the motivational strategies, persuasive influence, I think it's a really good practice for us to go with the one that has as many speech opportunities as possible, rather than projects along the way, which sometimes can stymie someone who is there mostly for speaking. And next slide, please, Carlos. And these are the things that they will be learning: public speaking, interpersonal communication, management, strategic leadership, conflict resolution. And next slide, please. Effective coaching. This is a really good one. I'm working on this one right now, and I'm finding that I'm learning an awful lot that I just didn't think I would. I didn't know how much value I would place on it, but it's been a really great learning curve for me. And you can see all the special things that are different: additional skills built, coaching, leadership, interpersonal communication was something I thought I had already, honestly, with all my skills through being a Toastmaster for this many years, but I've learned a lot. It was humbling. And next slide, please, Carlos. There's engaging humor. This is the one I want to sign up for next. Jackie looks like she'd be a lot of fun. I don't know why. I think she's probably got humor in those bones. And I know in the old path, or the old system, I took the path that was all about humor. It was pretty amazing. You think you're funny, but until you get the skills built, this is a great one to sign up for. And that'll be my next one. Speech writing is part of it. And next, please, Carlos. Innovative planning. Same thing, project management, which is really quite good in this particular pathway. So for a brand new person more wanting speech experience, I think that presentation mastery again proves out to be a better first start. And next. Leadership development. That one is awesome, but a ton of projects in it. And at the end is a large project, which is great. But for that person that really is getting their feet wet for the first time, it might be a little bit tough. And next, please, Carlos. Motivational strategies. There are 2 people in our club who are motivational coaches, and they're actually looking at this, doing this one right now. And I've seen some really amazing speeches come from them. They're a husband and wife team. And what I've learned from what they're taking in this particular pathway has been great. But again, for someone just a little bit higher level that has a little bit of speaking skills already, it's a bit better. And next, please. Persuasive influence. It's also good, similar to the one we just were at, but also leading in complex situations is where this is going to be different. And the next one. Presentation mastery. This is it, public speaking. And this is why we really recommend this as the first pathway. And I'm sure you've had probably most people in your club, Jackie, that gravitate towards this one because they are interested in public speaking. And it's not until they get into Toastmasters for a while that they realize how important the leadership aspect is. But this still gives them a lot of leadership roles, but just more time on the stage. And next, please. Strategic relationships. This one's interesting. We've had one person working on this one, and the networking part of it is interesting. He is going to be an insurance broker. And so he wanted to have this as his pathway, and he's working on it. So I haven't seen too many of his speeches, but so far the projects in there have been very interesting. And next. Team collaboration. It's all about collaborative leadership. And as Jackie knows, the pathways are all very similar up until level 4. And then it starts to veer off. And the collaborative leadership projects in here, I think, are quite interesting. We haven't got anybody right now working on that in our club, but I've looked ahead. It looks pretty good. So someone that's looking to have more success at work, that wants to really build that collaboration within a team, this would be a great path for them to choose. And next. Visionary communication. Innovative communication and leadership in this one. So again, a few more projects, but not as many as the leadership development, but a good one as well for someone who's got a specific goal in mind. And next. Mentoring. So this is where I know it's difficult for clubs that have less members than if you're in a large club. Jackie, can you put up your hands and show us how many members you have in your club? Or can you speak to me?
Yeah, we're down to 12.
Okay. So do you have enough people to have mentors in your club?
Just about.
Good. And it's tricky when you get new members and they have not gotten to their level, the finish of level 2, where they're able to mentor sort of legally, as it says in Toastmasters. I know that what I've done in the past when we've been sort of short on mentors is allowed someone that had their level 1 and is just working on their level 2 step in and be with a mentor, just so they can get a better idea of what's going on. So as soon as they finish that mentoring section, then they can get right into it. And mentors are not coaches. They are to sit back, to offer advice when it's needed, but it's important for them to take a leadership role when they're mentoring, and to make sure that each of their mentees or proteges has the freedom and the comfort to go to them when they need it. I find that sometimes people think, well, I don't want to bother her. She's busy, she's got children, or she works. But we have to make sure that they understand that a mentor is there for them, not to abuse it, but to look to that person and look for some advice. I have a really good mentor protege sheet that I developed with the help of Dorothy Miller. And it was, so every time someone joins our club, and I choose a mentor for them or find a mentor for them, I actually send this, an invitation or an introduction to the mentor and the protege. And at the end, I attach that to it. So the protege knows they have some responsibilities and what they are. And those responsibilities mainly are to, when they say they're going to be at a meeting with their mentor, they show up. It's more of a list of, you're responsible for yourself, and you have to treat the mentor respectfully. And the mentor has a few things they have to do as well. And we say that it's only to level 1, but we all know if you have a great relationship with your mentor, it can go on and on and on. But in our club, I always tell people that you've got a mentor, but every single person here is busy. That's your one-on-one. But if you see someone that's extremely funny and you want to add humor to your speech, then go ahead and talk to Trisha, or go ahead and talk to Srini, because both those members are extremely funny. If you want to be in a business, you want to be a little more professional, then have your mentor, of course, with your one-on-one, but speak to Jim and Lori Shoplin, because they are business people, and, sort of pick their bones. We've got 2 hours every meeting, and brand new members should feel comfortable enough to go around the room and pick brains and get the information that they need so they feel comfortable when they do their first, second, third, and speeches beyond. And next, please. Club meeting roles, as I just said, every single role is a speaking opportunity. It's super important for every single new member to understand that you can't just show up and do your speech. You want to practice speaking by getting up and being the counter, by being a humorist for the evening, or the optimist, or the grammarian. Even that is a speaking role. The table topic master is a speaking role, and same with the general evaluator. So I'm hopeful that that is something that goes on in all the clubs. And all of these roles are unique. They are time tested to get people comfortable. I think that's maybe what happens mostly with them. You are speaking, but you're getting comfortable making mistakes in front of people, and you know that nobody dies. So that when the first speech comes along, you're feeling better about it. You've already stood up in front of these people. You've already done some things, made some mistakes, had some great successes. So I encourage everybody to sign up and start speaking with these kind of roles while you're waiting to craft your icebreaker speech. And next, please, Carlos. The Toastmaster role. We have sort of what happens in our club, because our VP of membership is so busy, we have so many members, that it's difficult for him at every meeting to say, oh, I need this, I need that for next week. He's already got a full-time job, and he's already our VP of education. So we choose, in our club, it's the chairman, but the Toastmaster role is we have a Toastmaster and a chairman every meeting. And so it's our chairman, but I'm going to use Toastmaster for the sake of this tonight. The Toastmaster is the person who creates the next meeting. It should not fall on the VP of education alone. So if you choose a chairman for your meeting, or Toastmaster for every meeting, sort of in advance, and they know that they're responsible for it, then what happens is that they take on the responsibility of finding the speaker, or not speakers necessarily, they're usually signed up, but they have all the roles filled. They're the ones that take that on. And it's a great leadership opportunity, plus it's a great speaking opportunity, because they'll have to go around the room if you don't use Easy Speak, or go online and send out emails to get people ready and signed up for the next meeting. We have a document. One of our members was just, she couldn't stand what's the word I'm going to use here? Sort of the mishmash of rules, like what does a Toastmaster do? It drove her crazy that we didn't have a document for it. And what does the chairman do? So she created a document, and it starts on, we have our meetings on Tuesday night. That document starts on Wednesday. So it's 6 days before the meeting, send out your first email. 5 days before the next meeting, send out your second email. And then it's right down to the last, now the meeting is full, and you thank everybody. And then it shows a script for the meeting as well. And it in our club, it just leads to people feeling more comfortable, first of all, about getting up and doing the role, because they see a clear script for themselves. And so they're not avoiding the role. They are ready to sign up for it. So that might be something to consider, and also encouraging them to do when they've got a little bit of experience, but not too long. They should be challenged to get up there and do something like this. And next, please. Grammarian's the role that I always have my newbies start with, grammarian and all counter. In our grammarian role, we have kind of a fun thing to do, because none of us really are great at correcting someone else's grammar. So that's quite a small aspect of this role. What we'll do is choose the word of the day, introduce it, and then when they're giving their report, they will say how many times they use the word of the day, but also they're listening for really kind of fun phrases, and we play a little game of who said it. So that's part of the grammarian's role. At the end, they'll say, okay, so who said da 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 da, and the group yells out, oh, that was Tom, or that was Jim. And it's just kind of a fun way that we pay attention. And it's also a way for the grammarian to have a little more time on the stage, as well as if they're not necessarily English first language, first of all, and be able to correct grammar, then they've got a little something more to do than just the counting of the word of the day usage. And next, Carlos, please. All counter, that's my favorite. And we are brutal in our club with the all counter. And I tell the people that are starting it for new times, when they stand up and say, okay, you had 27 awes, that maybe not the right way to go about it. What we have is an outhouse that people put money into. And every time you use a filler word or a repetitive word or like, and, or right at the end of a sentence, we charge the person 25 cents up to $1. And we throw it in the little outhouse. But if you use the word of the day, you get the infractions taken away from you. But I'll encourage people doing awe counters say, well, let's just say you had more than 4 awes, and so is your crutch word. It just helps people sort of, without being embarrassed, also to realize what word they're leaning on and could possibly do a bit better at without being embarrassed. 27 times you said aw, or it's embarrassing. And next, please, Carlos. Timer role. Oh, this is the dreaded role for me, because to be a timer, you have to be super paying attention, and I'm paying attention to the speaker, not to that little clock and my stopwatch. And so I challenge myself once every 2 months to be the timer, because I've embarrassed myself more times than I can tell you by being the timer and not doing a great job. So I make sure it's something that I do on a regular basis to get better at it. And it's a good thing for people that are starting new. And again, if they have the tools, if they understand, how long an evaluator has, when the lights will be coming on, if they've got sort of a clear idea of the role, then it's a bit easier for them. And next, Carlos. Table topic speaker, anytime. I mean, we try to do it in a fair way because we often have guests at our club. We want to make sure that they have someone that can be before, like an experienced speaker. So if you're a brand new person, you're not just standing up there and not knowing what's going on. But as a table topic speaker, hopefully all the new members will get called on as well, and that gives them a speaking opportunity. And next. Topic master. I think this is a good role for a brand new member as well. If they've seen it a couple of times, then they can get the gist of it. If there's a theme to the meeting, then they can create their questions around that theme. It's a fun role. It's not a too hard a role. I would encourage people to sign up with that pretty quickly. And again, if they've got a clear script, so they know they have to get the timer to give them the times for it and call up the evaluators and get their times, then they'll have no problem doing this role. It's nice and easy. And next, speaker. We usually recommend delivering your first speech in the first time frame, like I would say the first month of their membership. Sometimes it's hard in clubs if they've got lots of members to get them in that time. But I believe that if we encourage them, that 4 weeks is a perfect timeline. Otherwise, they start to overthink it. And I've had a few people that wanted to do it, put it off, and still put it off today, and they've been around for a few months. So if you get them started, if you start quickly, it's a lot easier, because the more mistakes you make, the better you get. And so they got to start making those mistakes right off the bat. And the next one, please, Carlos. The evaluator. Now, we allow people to evaluate the table topics, but we don't allow them to evaluate a speaker until they have completed level 1 for sure. When they have had that opportunity to do a speech, get an evaluation, and then do it again, and then that they themselves perform an evaluation and are evaluated on it. Like that's, before that, it's just not a fair thing for them to do. It's not fair for the speaker or for themselves. So we have that to consider, and to remember that if you're going to be an evaluator, you have to contact your speaker and say, hey, I'm your evaluator. And it's always really helpful to ask the person if there's something specific they would like you to watch for. Maybe they've got a tendency to shout or to speak too quietly. And maybe that's something they would want an evaluator to pay attention to. So as an evaluator, let's maybe be a little more proactive and find out what that speaker would like us to hone in on. And next, general evaluators. I think this is a great rule, maybe not for a brand new person, but for someone that's been around a little bit, but not too long, because they'll see the things that we're doing that might strike them as odd or not seem right. Because after a while, when we were in our clubs, I think that we tend to not see things as a brand new member might. And that's why I would encourage the newer members, watch a couple of meetings, attend them, and then sign up for the general evaluator role. And have someone mentor you through it, for sure, but you'll see things that we don't see anymore. And I think it's really helpful to have those fresh eyes. It's a really great thing for someone that's in the business world as well, because if you're evaluating a meeting, in a Toastmasters meeting, it starts to get easier to see how a meeting would run better in your business, in your workplace, in your private life, in your volunteer life. So sign up for that one. It's an awesome role. And next one, please, Carlos. So this is basically, went through the 10 pathways earlier. And I know when I first took the pathway assessment, I did it like 3 times because it told me to take leadership development. I didn't want to take it. I wanted to take something else, presentation mastery. And that was before Toastmasters was recommending that as a first stop. But it was the best thing I ever did. That assessment actually was interesting to me as a VP of education because I didn't understand that I had weaknesses. So it was pushing me in the direction of my weaknesses. So that's why leadership development came up for me 3 times when I took the assessment. So when we're going to choose our pathways, you can take a pathway that scares you. Presentation mastery might be the scariest for most people because they are wanting to speak in public, but leadership is also something that a lot of people tend to struggle with, myself included. And so that was I didn't realize the assessment would push me towards something that I was lacking. So I thought that was pretty smart. And next, Carlos. So leadership opportunities. Now, Jackie, we're preaching to the choir here. You know all about this. There are opportunities as members within our club, within our area, within the division, within the district, within the region, and then the board of directors. Toastmasters is unlimited in its power to change your life. The most powerful changes I ever experienced were 2016 and 2019 when I was the area director and the division director. And by the end of the year, the things I had learned were, I just changed. And sometimes I think, oh, I'm done now. I'm too old for this. But during those 2 years, I understood that I wasn't too old for anything. And I certainly am not dead yet. There's lots more to learn and lots more to do. And Toastmasters can give that to us. And next, Carlos. So the club, these are the various different roles that we can go into: president, VP of education, membership, public relations, secretary, treasurer, and sergeant at arms. In a perfect scenario, I like to start people with a lighter role. But if you've got someone that's a keener and someone that's really eager to be great right away, then they can go into the, slightly higher roles if there's a mentor there to help them through. Jumping into president and VP of education right off the bat is a good way to scare someone off out of Toastmasters for the rest of their lives. But we all know it happens in some clubs when there's no other choice. But if they can get mentorship through it, they're going to be just fine. because there are so many supports along the way. Area and division, to gain further experience in mid-level roles as the area director and the division director. One of the gentlemen in our club, the same one that is going to be an insurance broker, this year he took on the treasurer role in our club and he took on the area director role. And my eyes went buggy. He's young, he's going to be just fine. And the things he's already learned, the difference in him as a professional, like he worked in the construction trade to begin with, and now after just these few months since June or July, the difference in his demeanor is huge. Because he's taken on more responsibility, which has made him busier, but it's also changed how he feels about himself, which is the reason we all do this. And in the district and region, there are the district director, program quality director, club growth director, finance manager, administration manager, region advisor, and international director. So the sky is the limit. And I think we do ourselves a disservice just because it's not our path, not to encourage those people coming in to look at those as a way, a means to an end for them. If they want to go further in their business, in their life, there are these opportunities to hone those skills. Toastmasters has a ton of them. And next, please, Carlos. Awards and recognition. I think that from what I was looking at in the pathway, the new pathway experience, we're going to see a lot easier way to react and send awards and recognition to our club members than it was before. Because before you had to kind of dig deep to find those badges and send information. And when I first went in there, it's almost one of the first things you see is a way to send a badge to one of your members, and it goes directly to them by email. And you can actually award it with the club knowing about it, with the club not knowing about it. I thought, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And it's not down deep. It's readily accessible on the new pathways. At least to me, it seemed way more ready and easy to do. There's also awards and recognition. We had a huge awards night last year, and it was one of the projects for Jim and Lori Shoplin. They've got together, and what a great night we had. I really sometimes think we don't really need to have awards and recognition. That's my thought before, but that night, everybody got a little something. No one went home without a little cup or a piece of chocolate or a certificate. And the difference it made to how people felt about our club the week after. And we had 2 guests that night. Well, those 2 guests joined up the club because they just got caught up in this awards night, and we all got dressed up for the night. It was pretty spectacular, and decorating and all that. And the thing about it is you can do these by assigning them to someone, like a brand new person that's really keen and wants to learn how to organize an event. That is kind of the kind of thing they should be looking into. It's fun. They learn a little more about the club, and you have a great event because of it. And next, please. So there are ribbons, there are pins. I was very covetous of someone's pin the other day. They had a level completion pin. And I thought, okay, I need to have one of those. So whether you complete it or not, it's nice to have the recognition. It's really nice to see a badge or a pin on someone's lapel when they have accomplished something. And I think that people feel better about it when there's something to show for the work they've put into it. Ribbons are really nice. We have ribbons in our club. We definitely have an icebreaker ribbon. And when a person completes their icebreaker in the evening, we get to our feet and we give them a standing ovation. And it's funny when you have guests in the club and they're thinking, why'd you stand up for that person and you didn't stand up for the other people? So we have to explain to them that the icebreaker is very special and that's why we do it. And the last speech of a pathway, which is level 5, reflect on your path or the completion of that path, we stand up and give that person a standing ovation as well. And it's just recognition, and they get to show off what they've done. It's a huge achievement. And the icebreaker is a huge achievement too for someone that, probably walked by our door a few times and finally got the courage up to come in and sign up. So it's really nice to be able to give people recognition when they've accomplished something. Small, large, doesn't matter. And next, please, Carlos. So these digital badges are looking different now, and it'll be fun to see how it's going to turn out. But like I said to you, I believe from what I saw that it's going to be easier for us to achieve them and for us to recognize those people in our club. And not just the VP of Education recognize them, it's going to be all of us recognizing each other, which I really like. And next, please. Q&A. Actually, before I open the Q&A, Jackie, I have a tips and tricks that I'd like to share with you. And you're not a new member, but I hope you find some of them interesting. Okay, tips and tricks from Wendy Leroux. Find a journal or a book just like this. And this is what I tell all my people that I'm mentoring or a brand new person that I've just found a mentor for. Get a journal. And I call it my speaking journal. And I would run out of the room and grab mine right now, but it would take too long. And I would open it and show you. So sometimes I'm driving to work or I'm sitting somewhere and I get an idea for a speech. And I write it down. So I've got it by the bed at night and in my bag for work during the day. Because if you've got a great idea, chances are if you don't write it down, it is gone. And you're driving to work and you think, oh, that would be a great idea. Pull over, write it down. Or if you've got the phone thing and you can leave a note on your phone in your car without touching it, of course, the phone that is, then write it down, record it. Because I always remember Elizabeth Gilbert had spoken to an indigenous poet in the United States. And she spoke about her inspirations for speeches, for poems like this. She would be in the field harvesting corn or working in her garden, and she would feel the idea coming. You know how you think, oh my gosh, that would be great? And she would start to run back to the house. And she was running because she knew if the idea got there before she got to a pen, it would be gone. And it's just like at the end of the day, you go, oh yeah, what was that idea I had? And it's gone. So take a book, write down the idea, leave that page blank, and then when you have another idea, write it down on the next page or 3 pages away. And when you're looking for a speech and you want to do one, you've got all these ideas already written down. And some you might even have fleshed out and put a couple of sort of interesting points that you know would fit in that speech. I did a speech about, have you seen my glasses? Because before I had prescription ones, oh my gosh, I drove over them. I drove over them twice, the same pair. I left them in stores. I sat on them. So I made this big long speech about it. But when I wrote down the idea of losing my glasses, I would think about something, from 5 years ago, and then I'd write that down. So when the time came to give a humorous speech, I had all this material. And I'm not sure about you, Jackie, but so many people have told me, like, what do I talk about? What's my inspiration? And if you have this book, you've got inspiration. Okay, attend. Anybody who's new, if they miss a few meetings, it gets easier to miss meetings. So attend all the meetings that you can. Unless there's an emergency, be there, because that's why you joined. That's why you signed up. If you attend the meetings, you're going to get what you want. Not too many places can guarantee that. Toastmasters can. And as I said earlier, approaching other members for specific help, like for humor, for leadership, for a vocal variety. We've got a person in our club and he shouts. And if anybody wants to know how to get their voice from the front of a room to the back of the room, Manish is the man. We have to hold him back sometimes. And he's learning from other people how quietness can be as forceful as the loud. So when you are looking for specific help, look to the people that you see in the club to give you that help. Something that I really believe in firmly is for new speakers to look ahead. Yes, you want to get the basics. Level 1 is so important. It's like the building blocks of your future in Toastmasters. Don't miss anything. But say if you've got a project for work and you've got to do like a panel discussion with your boss or a debate or your volunteer leadership organization, you need to help out with something, or you just know you're going to get pushback from somebody, so you want to be able to reach consensus on something. all of these projects are ahead of you. So look at them, because we can tailor a brand new member's needs to them. If they've got something big like that coming up, then let's see if we can jump ahead, get them all that information they need, and get them on that part of their path and get right back to where they were before and get more of the building blocks. But I don't think we should hold people back because they haven't gotten there yet. And it's people going on holidays, creating a blog. That is such a cool elective project in level 4 or 3. So if they're going on a trip, hey, why don't you take this with you and let's do that. So I really encourage people to look at your level 1, go for it, but then go through every single level and look at the projects that are coming up and assign them sort of the value in your life, and if they'll be helpful to you. Oh yeah, wedding toasts and things like that's important as well, so that they know there's sections like that in their future, and they can jump ahead to things like that. Those are my tips and tricks. I hope that was helpful, Jackie. Have you got any questions at all? Because we've got a few minutes for those.
Well, I'm actually going to have to go, but thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for being here.
And if Carlos, I don't know if you can find out about this VP of Ed group. I did hear it mentioned by someone at the beginning of the summer, but it doesn't seem to have come to fruition.
Sure, absolutely. It's another challenge, right? But we're a transformational organization, aren't we? So I think that we're going to get there, right? We're going to try to share more material. We are going to have some training for officers, probably the 2nd or 3rd week of November. And we're going to try to be ready for all the questions. Everybody.
But the officer training, they're just reading off a script. It's the same every time. So that's why I thought if there was a VP of Ed group, maybe just meeting once a month or once every couple of months, we could share ideas, because we're sort of doing the work. And the other thing I find difficult is a lot of stuff seems to get lost. If somebody leaves or somebody moves on and they've done all this work, say if it was VP of membership, one of our committee members, he's made up a binder for new members as a sort of a stepping stone of what to expect and what comes next, because now they join and they don't get any paperwork, whereas before they used to get the books. So we haven't been giving that binder out to everybody. We've just had it on loan, but all that I feel should be in a kind of on a district, like a library site that you can go to if you're in an executive position, and you can access those resources. It doesn't just stay within a club, because everybody, I just feel like sometimes we're reinventing the wheel, you know? And I think it would be useful to everyone if we had more tools that we could access, and if we spoke with each other regularly to find out, well, how do they get this to work? What do they do in their meetings? You know, and it would maybe reinvigorate the VP of Eds, but with their interest as well, because it's a job nobody seems to want. And I was hoping to get someone to help me this year, but she's not renewed, so it's back just on sort of on my shoulders again.
Right. Jackie, you know, I really like the idea. I love the idea of having a meeting for VP of Education, let's say once a month, right? Would you share your email so I'll just schedule that and I'll let you know?
Okay. What is your email?
Right. In the chat box, if you could, right? Thank you very much. My email here, I'll just put it here, right? This is the one, right?
Is that going in the chat?
Right here. Sure, that's the one. And I think that's a wonderful idea. I mean, I love it. We're going to bring many people together so to work on that because we all need that help.
It's the biggest role, that's for sure. It's,
Right. Absolutely.
yeah.
Right. It's a lot to do and a lot to learn.
And where is your club, Wendy?
In Langley, British Columbia, we're in,
Okay.
yeah, do you know where that is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you in the same club as Hardeep?
Yes. I miss her. She's been away for a little while, so hopefully she'll be back soon.
Okay. So I will email you my email address then, Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, I wanted to share this with you, right? This is a very humble certificate of appreciation for distinguished Toastmaster Wendy Leroux for her support and her work and her time and commitment to our meetings. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you so very, very much. We do
Thank you, Carlos. That's very nice. Woo! Thanks, Jackie. You've been a blast. Take good care of yourself.
Now, let me stop the recording, but this meeting has been adjourned. Thank you so very, very much.